Yeah. So Phil, you started your Instagram, right?
Yes.
Now, did your followers move over with you, or you have to get all the
I've
followers?
got about 170 right now, and
Oh,
I
wow.
had 4,000 originally on the other, but a
Yeah.
few have crossed over. I see, but
Yeah.
I mean, not a great number.
Yeah. Well, I see you're posting a lot, so I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to get as much as I can back from the guy that took it.
yeah.
But I guess it takes time, I don't know.
And then my cat rescue account was stolen from me, and I can't get it back.
What was it?
One day I wanted to post something on my cat rescue account. I couldn't post, and but I still have access to the messages. And I contacted Instagram and said, "Hey, what is going on?" And nothing really. I got some baloney answer. So now I lost that account. I got to start this over again.
Wow.
It's not the happiest camper on social media right now, but I hopefully get it back in order.
Well, I tell you what, I've tried to contact them when mine was hacked, and you get no response whatsoever. And I had many report it, nothing. It's still there.
Yeah.
And I would like to start a sales account. It's constantly denied. Verification is constantly denied. So, well, I wish it would not be somewhat important in our job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can just get rid of it, but I can't.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, we're prisoners of it now. We can't.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are. You're right about that.
It's like it's terrible to say, but if you don't have a good amount of followers, you can still be like the best at what you do. But people will judge you based on, you only have 1,000 followers, well, you must not be that good compared to somebody who has 12,000. It's like, you got it again, like Jason said, it's all in a logarithm game. It's just like with my website at work. I have this big company that takes care of it, but it's all about Google algorithms and what they want to see. Like, it's funny, like I opened my office in Jacksonville because I took over a practice. So I'm inside with another company. Well, Google doesn't like if you are in the same building with another company. They won't allow you to be seen as much. Where if you had your own standalone play, that's why I pay these people a lot of money to figure this stuff out. But it's all a logarithm, and what Google wants. If they like what they see, then they'll plug you more. If they don't, they'll start to back you down.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. I've been offered to buy likes, right? I mean, is that what a lot of people are doing?
Yes, they do, but you got to make it. What happens, you got to be careful with buying likes, because they'll also pick up if they're like kind of BS ones. Like you'll start to see like people will start liking stuff and they'll have like one follower. You see what I'm saying? So they have like this, it's almost fictitious. What you can do, what I've done before, is you can boost your posts so they reach more people. You know what I'm saying? That way you can organically, begin to reach more people that way. If you put something really relevant out there, or you want, and you can say, hey, I want to boost it by paying some more to get it, let's say, for example, I'm going to reach 170 people. I want it to reach 500 people. Well, then now what happens is now those people see it. So now you're on their feed, and then it begins to organically grow. But yeah, you do have to be careful who you buy the likes from, because like you said, because they'll pick it up as BS likes, and then they'll start taking them away from you too. So that if you look, like even followers, like you see a lot of people, again, a lot of these people don't have 90,000 followers. But yes, you know what I'm saying? But what they'll do is they figure out it's not so much organic, they'll start taking them away from you. So
when you boost your likes, they ask you how much money you want to spend. So I did it a couple of times, and I did see absolutely zero improvement. And I spent like a couple of $100 on a posting or so.
Yeah.
And to Phil's question, I got contacted daily about growing my account, and I used to make the mistake in the past, trusting somebody when they really told you this is going to be very organically, there's going to be no fake accounts. And I realized quickly it's all bullshit. The people I added on with fake accounts. So then I got into a lot of trouble to clean that all out.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a big mistake, but I was really believing they can do it in an organic way, and that wasn't the case. People I hired, so that was a mistake. And then I seen on other accounts we talked about one of the all-time best when some of the comments are balked on the likes. The comments start to look really, really weird because you can tell they were written in Africa or in Asia. The grammar is off, and then there's the same comment over and over and over again. So we're gonna be very, very careful. But the boosting accounts, I don't know if I have to spend more, but with a couple of $100 on a posting, that didn't change anything on my outreach, on my reach.
No. What about these companies that want to like help grow your advertisement? So I know you got to be careful, but
and that's the bad thing now with social media, because you know, I get even like as a doctor, grow your practice, get more leads. I mean, you know, I mean, now there's no regulation behind it. So what's a scam? What's not? It's, oh my God, it's too much.
I know we have some walk-in ones where some storefront ones where you go in and you can sit down with them. Yeah, they'll sit down with them and they'll go over stuff with you. I would probably be more susceptible to that than something online.
My wife has a company who creates her postings. She kind of tells them what she wants, and they kind of tell her, they put it together and very, very nicely actually, but it's still coming all from her. You know, she tells them what she wants to post, and then kind of she sends them a picture and they make it in a nice way with the right hashtags. That works pretty well for like $5-10 a post or so. You know, that works pretty well, but it's still completely her behind it. There's nothing fake about it. So if I can find somebody like that, I wouldn't mind that. You know.
Yeah, and that's smart because, like you said, it's still your ideas, but they put it together how it should be presented so that more people will, you know, take interest in it. So yeah, like I said, putting it together, putting the right hashtags or the right presentation. You know,
I do very well with the storylines, but not with the postings.
Yeah,
exactly.
My regular posts don't do well, but for some reason, like when I talk, like I do my stupid little talk when I'm on my way to the gym, and it's like 5 minutes of talking about nothing, I get the most likes on that. I don't know why.
It is. There's no,
and
that's these people. They just come on and they start talking, and they get all these likes and followers, and they're just talking about nothing.
3 years ago, I posted my Arnold's Classic Pro debut, the posing where Arnold is commenting on it. I had 96,000 views. About 6 months ago, I tried the same again, and I ended up with about 8,000 views with exactly the same posting.
Yeah, like you said, it's funny. I can go out there and talk some really great information and get like 8 likes. That I can take my dog, bring him to the gym in the Lamborghini, and I get like 5,000 likes. It's like, all right. Well, I just gave you invaluable information for your life, and like nobody paid attention. But my dog's head out of Lamborghini is just world renowned. It's like, what the hell? Jesus Christ.
Well,
I know.
That shows you what kind of world we live in.
Yeah, I just stopped. Anytime with the gym opening, I just put the dog. I take a picture of him in the gym. Everyone seems to love that. So
I did this posting where a guy does a total messed up exercise, and I had a lot of like comments and likes and thing on that, but I'm not gonna sell any training of that, you know. So in that regard, I take the less attractive posting in that sense, you know, any day. But still, I mean, a reach of 10-12,000 people with 100,000 followers, it's a little ridiculous.
Ed Connors messaged me today. Thank you for coming on the show, and
that was a great show.
Yeah, has almost 900 views for our show. I mean, he was complimenting on it because the last one he did, who was that with? Muscular Development. That only got 1,000 views, so he was like, "That's really good for a new show to get almost as much." Because the Ron Line one, whatever it's called. Yeah, I don't ever watch it, but he's been on a while.
Yeah.
So, Phil, Eddie Giuliani.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Yeah, I figured I saw pictures that you posted. You guys posing together.
I met him back in I met him in 1981 when I first went to World Gym. Samir took me there and he introduced me to Joe, Eddie, wow, whoever else was there at the time. Maybe Zabo was there. I met Lou Ferrigno there and got to know him pretty well. Saw him on a daily basis or whenever I trained. And then we moved to LA when we were living there. I used to see him at 4 a.m. at Gold's up until the pandemic. And then suddenly he vanished. And my wife said, well, I wonder where Eddie is. I haven't seen him lately. My wife used to talk to him all the time. And Larry Jackson, a former pro that was an AAU Mr. America winner back in the 70s, said that he had to sell his house and move with his daughter in Rancho Camango or something like that. Rancho Congamingo or whatever it's called, which is kind of like East LA, up in the mountains, near the mountain region. And supposedly he couldn't live by himself any longer. And his daughter took him in. And I never heard from him since. That was, we're going back 3 years ago.
Yeah, it says, well, he was 87, but it's not saying the cause of death.
No, he was in good health. I mean, looking at him, he's working out, used the treadmill. He still worked out. Looked fine. I mean,
he's 87. It can't be too many options.
Absolutely. 87.
I'm sure some idiots are going to put on this picture that it was steroids.
Oh, no, definitely not.
he was in every magazine when I grew up.
Yeah.
Every magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
It says he won Mr. Eastern, Mr. Western America Junior, Mr. America, and as a middleweight winner in the Mr. America and Mr. World competitions.
And I don't think he was in the magazines because of his titles. He was just part of the whole Venice kind of Mecca cult. He was every magazine you see him somebody in the back, or the pictures of Arnold. He was on it a lot. And unfortunately, I never met him, at least not knowingly. He must have been there still in the 90s when I trained there, but I do not remember really.
Yeah, he used to work the front counter at times.
Yeah.
World Gym, when you go up the staircase, he'd be one of the first guys you see when you get up there.
Yeah, because he went over there with Joe Golds, right?
Right.
When he went over. So
yeah, great guy.
So
great stories.
So how tall was he? He didn't look very tall.
He was about 5'4". I'm 5'6.5". He had to be about 5'4".
Yeah, I was gonna say he was pretty short.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good physique though, like like a Lee Labrada type,
Yeah, great physique. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to talk about an 87-year-old man dying for once.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of 40.
Yeah. Instead of a 40-year-old, right?
True. That's true.
Yeah.
Kind of the natural progression of what we should mention. Yes. Odd.
I'd be happy to make it to 87, to be honest with you. If I made it to 87,
you pretty much won at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's like, you won. You get your trophy. You're good.
You're good. That's real good.
It all depends when my last cat dies.
Oh yeah.
After that, I'm good, but I still have a 1-year-old, so 19 more years I gotta be here.
Yeah.
Have it longer to be.
That's why we keep. I keep telling my wife we have to stop. When we hear of a kitten or we see something, we have to stop. We're coming to an age where we have to think about that.
Let's see here. Before I got some questions, but I want to go over a couple of things. This guy that won the Arnold Brazil, did y'all see that?
Yeah.
That Rafael was it Brandeo? How you say his name? Brandeo. Now, who was it that was saying that does IFBB not recognize this Arnold for some reason?
No, it's just Mr. Olympia qualification.
It's okay. I thought Ian was saying something about it, that it wasn't.
That the Arnold UK was canceled because the IFBB and the NPC have some type of dispute with each other.
Oh, maybe that was it.
For a long time, the other part of the IFB, the Elite League, owned the Arnolds in South America, but not anymore. It switched over to this federation too now.
Mm-hmm. This guy looked good. There was talk about this, how they went more for physique than size on this.
Oh, I don't think
Yeah.
so. He was just great, you know.
Yeah, he
I
was
mean,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good wheels.
Oh
Yeah.
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 and there was
Definitely.
no really big guy in his league here on in this
No.
show. So,
From the photos I saw, he looked like the winner.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. This guy's pretty popular in Brazil. He's got 1.1 million followers.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he looks good.
And it's a good position to be in if you're the best bowler of Brazil or like from India, or you know, you're a
sure.
way bigger star than when you're here. Okay?
Mhm.
Of course. Of course.
Those guys in India, they keep sending me videos where they get honors by certain politicians and awards like on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Well, they
You
treat it
know,
like movie stars.
Well, yeah, look when
Yeah.
Big Rammy goes home. You know, he's treated like a king.
Imagine that.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to look at. This oh, let me pull his picture up for y'all. I've talked about him before. This Ilia Golem, I think he's from Russia. Is he Russian? He was with 5%. I don't know who he's with now, but when I pull his pictures up, you'll recognize him. But he is he's been posting some stuff about putting on size, he talked about his blood work and all this, and
Right.
he's gonna show everybody how to put on size safely. Well, he's 355 pounds right now.
How tall is he?
5'10", maybe 5'9".
That's
He's not,
it.
yeah, he's not very tall. He's not tall at all.
God.
A very large human being.
Very large.
It's very impressive at this point, but we gotta see him on stage before this.
Oh, he's not a
Yeah,
bodybuilder.
Oh, he's not. Oh,
no,
then he's very impressive. Then he's very impressive.
No, he's made it a point to say he'll never compete in bodybuilding.
All right, he's great.
Yeah.
No, if he's somewhat healthy, even better.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
that's a question.
At 355 pounds,
Yeah, that's a question.
what do you think?
I said it with a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a big boy, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
So is he extremely strong, or what is his deal? He just wants to be a freak.
Yeah, I think 5% brought him over when Rich died to kind of take over to kind of advertise for them. But I think they went separate ways because he doesn't wear the 5% stuff anymore.
Wow. Monster.
But he says he eats, what else did he say? He eats 12,000 calories a day.
Jesus.
That's what he eats. If you get a chance, I'll send you the video with him talking about how his diet is and how much he eats and stuff. So
I don't know. I was almost as big and at some point, and I never ate more than 5,500 calories.
yeah.
I mean, that's just, you got to be eating like all day. I mean, that's a lot of calories, guys.
Hey, doctor, that's a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you got
That's his job.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, you basically put it this way. If you're, you figure if you sleep for 8 to 10 hours, you're up for 12 to 14 hours. Jesus, you're eating 1,000 calories an hour.
He claims his blood work's perfect.
God bless him.
Yeah. I mean,
God bless him.
I don't know the guy, but that's what he claims.
Let's hope he can pass the stress test too.
Yeah. But does this guy want to get into films then? I mean, what's his main goal? In order to train and eat like that, there has to be a main goal.
I don't think. Well, he doesn't speak very good English. You can't hardly understand him when he talks.
Sure.
So I don't think acting, unless he's just going to be a,
Yeah.
Typecast.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, again, like you said, what's the end goal?
Here's a good squat here.
Still, at the end of the day, the human body at 5'9", 5'10" is not meant to be 355 pounds. For a while, I guess, but there's still got to be some, even from blood work could be good, but eventually you are talking about excess stress on the organs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to some extent, short period of time. Yeah. Is this what you're going to keep doing? I mean, that's, oof.
Wow.
I'm very impressed how Bjornsson lost all the weight and is now becoming a fighter. You know, Thor Bjornsson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. He looks
I mean,
good.
that's sure a good choice for him. So
Yeah, if you know how to fight, right? I mean, that's a whole different animal.
My knee hurts just watching that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I guess
Well, I
Ian's
got about
running late.
a dozen of questions after I was asking for some.
I got about 5 or 6 good
Yeah,
ones.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see. The first one was thoughts on HCG while bulking. I guess Doc.
I mean, again, it's the HCG. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does work. The one thing that people have to remember is just like with anabolics per se, remember you're working under the brain, you're working from down up, you're working from down up. So HCG mimics luteinizing hormone by one molecule. So it still has the same effect on the testicles, the Leydig cells, and causing them to make more testosterone. You know what I'm saying? So it will keep some volume to the testicles because the Leydig cells are working. But remember, you're giving yourself a mimic of luteinizing hormones. So the brain itself is still going to downregulate its LH production. You see what I'm saying? Just like you would if you were taking any type of androgen. So long term, you have to be careful with HCG because you can form antibodies to it. That's why a lot of my patients, I've actually moved away from even using Clomid. I use what's called enclomiphene. And so not a lot of people have really heard of that. They're always used to Clomid. And well, Clomid is a SERM, and again, works well because it increases LH and FH production, but it also has an effect on estrogen receptors, where enclomiphene is what's called a non-steroidal estrogen antagonist. So it doesn't affect the estrogen receptors, and it has a pure effect just on LH and FSH. And if there's anything with estrogen, it's a cleaving off of the estrogen from the testosterone itself. And I've had much better results with that, not saying numbers, but overall feeling. Because a lot of guys' testosterone will go up on Clomid, but sometimes they get some too many estrogen side effects. But the enclomiphene works very well. I mean, I talk a lot of guys out of testosterone therapy who are in their late 20s, early 30s, even if they're a little skeptical on testosterone. I have several people over 1,200 testosterone levels just on enclomiphene, which is damn impressive.
That's real good.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to take during a 12-week cycle, like during maybe week 4 and 9, 3 or 4 shots of HCG?
Yeah. Just a little bit to kind of keep going. I agree.
That's what I used to do.
Yeah, but people's, understanding what it's doing, still know you understand the androgen is going to well override that, but to keep a little volume and a little functionality going, because again, if you're straight androgen, you're going to shut the testicles completely down. So no, I agree with that. I'm fine with that. The thing now in America, and then with me writing prescriptions, HCG can no longer be compounded. It's very hard to get. You have to get the name brand like Pregnel, and you have to get that from like your big box pharmacies. But the compounding pharmacies where we used to get it all the time no longer are allowed to write and prescribe because the government's deemed it a biologic, meaning that it's greater than 43 amino acids. So now it has to be written, like I said, I have to write it through like Publix or Walmart. And remember, that's not a very popular drug. So it's very hard to get a lot of times now.
See, I wonder why that is. Does somebody overdose on HCG or something like that? I mean,
I don't know. It's like I said, there's a big thing with the peptides, like I was talking to you guys before about, it's the amino acid chain. Once you're over 43, then you're no longer a peptide, you're a protein. And then, like I said, it falls into a different category. Under 43 amino acids is a peptide. That's where we can still use them. You know, again, there's always some type of hidden reason why, you know.
Are there any peptides over 43?
I think it's 43 amino acids.
Which one is over 43? Which one?
Oh, there's a lot of them. Like growth hormone. I forget how many amino acids it is, but
that's 191.
HCG is over 43 amino acids.
Okay.
So it's no longer considered a peptide, it's a protein. So you can go with the realm of biologic at that point.
Wow.
But yeah, you do something to keep some volume going, like I said, and then clomiphene in my practice is I write a lot of prescriptions for enclomiphene.
Yeah. I have one question I got here. I don't know if I understand it right, and I'm going to see what the doctor says to that. Somebody asked me what the most overrated product I ever took. I don't know if he means a natural product or if he talks about steroids. When it comes to natural supplement product, I took a ton of stuff which didn't work, you know, because we were in the 90s. But if he talks about steroids and things, I mean, everything I took worked great. But I always felt like back in the days, but maybe just because I didn't feel it, I always thought GH didn't really do anything. You think that was just because I didn't feel it like a steroid? But I did his thing.
Yeah, I think like, and I try to explain to my patients when we do prescribe, like I don't prescribe that much growth hormone because in the realm of prescriptions, it's expensive. And I tell people, look, you know, I don't bullshit my patients. I'm like, look, you know, to do somewhere in the 3 to 4 units a day, which you would need to get good, solid quality size, you're looking in excess of $2,000 a month. And I tell my patients, I'm like, look, you're not paying that. You're not going to feel over $2,000 a month better. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to make that kind of money. Right. I think what you're talking about, JP, is like, you know, when steroids or anabolics, you take them and you get that rush, you get that drive, you get the strength, and things happen at a quicker rate per se, where growth hormones kind of behind the scenes, more at a cellular level. You're talking about, you know, you're talking about making new, you know, hyperplasia, making new cells, growing new cells, and growing those cells bigger and making them work more efficiently. That's why I just don't, but like what you're saying, like the feeling is not as, I would agree, not as strong or as intense as the anabolics and the androgens would be.
Did any of you guys see that new product Samir Banu is selling?
Yeah.
But is it kind of some kind of natural GH release product? Did I get this right?
I'm not sure exactly. I saw the product, but
does he have it on his Instagram?
It has something to do with GH or testosterone booster or something.
So is there any product other than injectable which
it's called
GH in that sense?
Replica GH. Here it is.
Right.
Yeah, Replica GH and Lava 196 pre-grade. That's a fat burner, and this is a pro-grade growth formula. Watermelon candy flavor. That sounds good.
So, what is maybe the doctor can say? Is there any possibility something like that will never work, or what is the deal about that?
You know, I'm a little suspect on things like that. Like I said, understanding the biochemistry behind it. Like we've had the discussion before. You and I have JP on the show. We think we did a great show with talking about the peptides. If you're trying to get the body to release more from a signaling receptor perspective, your best bet's going to be your peptides. Yeah, the supplements. I mean, I don't know what they're putting in them to know what is, you know, what is the true ingredient that would stimulate the pituitary to release the growth hormone. I don't know. Seems a little sketchy to me. You know what I'm saying? You know, relative to actual growth hormone or again the peptides. I still think, like we talked about, the best bang for your buck is using the peptides because you're getting, I tell people, 70 to 90% effectiveness of growth hormone, but at about 5% the cost. And so all day, like I said, right now, now that I got my gym open, I started taking the MK, the ibuprofen, and I've been on it now for about 8 weeks. And holy hell, it's kicking in. Like the hunger is just ridiculous. I can't, every time I finish eating, and then like in an hour, it's like I haven't eaten in days. And you can tell, I know that it's working, and that's what it's doing. It's stimulating the ghrelin in the body like growth hormone would do. And so now I'm in that the second phase of it. So you can start to see where you're eating more, but still staying leaner and harder and fuller without putting the bloat on. So like I said, and you're talking at a cost of maybe $250 for 2 months worth, compared to that would cost you almost $4,800 in growth hormone. I mean, Jesus, so.
Let me ask you this, doctor. I work in GDC part-time, and products like Nugenics, which is very popular, we sell a lot of it. Does that have any real, again, that's.
There are certain herbs like tribulus, different things like that can, again, could do some stimulation, but you also have to remember too, with stuff like that, you're not necessarily stimulating the natural production per se, and you can actually downregulate the system. And I'm not being, but if I'm going to downregulate myself, then I'm going with the big boys. If I'm going to shut myself down or slow myself down, then I might as well use the real thing.
Sure.
Hey, Frank Thomas says it works.
Of course. You know what? Again, you start throwing me you throw me 5, 6 zeros behind a 1. I'll let you know I'll endorse a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll hold up a box of tampons for that much.
Yeah.
Hey,
Feel great. No cramping here.
Yeah.
I got another question for you. Now, is it the DEA that certain supplements, if they actually have an anabolic effect, let's say, they completely take it off the market? Is that so?
They will go after it and strictly kind of see what the DEA will go and see what's going on with it. But again, they will pull it. Again, the biggest thing is that's what happened to Redcon. Their fear is with the kids and the children. And I think I've mentioned it on the show before. We talked about like the '88 Olympics with Ben Johnson and all that. And remember, anabolic steroids at that time were still legal and prescriptive. But after the '88 Olympics, Congress had a big, to do with it. And like I said, the FDA, the DEA, and the AMA all emphatically were against making anabolic steroids controlled substances. Because remember, when you start talking about scheduled drugs and scheduled controlled substances, you're talking about addiction. You follow what I'm saying? And if you take the schedule of drugs, like I said before, it's funny is, testosterone is a Schedule 3, where all of your benzos like Xanax, Ativan, Valium, Ambien, things like Ambien for sleep, stuff like that, those are Schedule 4, actually a level down. Wow. The only thing above anabolic steroids or even testosterone, that's why testosterone gets such a bad rap, is you're talking about codeine over 15 milligrams, your Dilaudid, your morphines. That's what's above anabolics, and what's below anabolics is your benzos. But again, but that was their agenda to keep that away from the youth, the adolescents. That was their biggest push. And I think, like I said, now you're seeing a lot of backlash, and I don't think the fans so much care anymore about the anabolic steroid use. What I'm saying? Where before they tried to, they made it a big to do. I don't think fans really care. The public itself is not as a big an outrage as what it used to be. Right. I don't know if the rule will probably the laws will never change, but you have to do something because there's a lot of people out there doing them. So, again, what are we doing proactively to make sure these people are healthy, because there's truly a use for it. But again, that what's scary. And I agree with some of the other doctors that are on with like some of the true hormone replacement clinics is they just start jamming this stuff in people. You understand what I'm saying? Without being strictly regulated. Like I said, I get approached by pharmacies. I have a pharmacy, and again, I don't write for any of it, but I have a pharmacy that They on their formulary, they have Winstrol, they have Anadrol. I mean, I just, you know, those just you're pushing that envelope really far. There's no prescriptive need to be giving Anadrol to anybody unless they had cancer or AIDS. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was funny because the pharmacist, when I called, I just kind of like, you know, hey, you have Winstrol on your, you know, on your formulary. What's the what's the medical use that I would, if I was going to write it, what am I writing it for? You know what I'm saying? And literally she had no clue. And she's like, well, no, you use it to get bigger and stronger. Well, that's not going to go really well on my charting when I say, hey, you know, Phil came to me and wants to get bigger and stronger. So I wrote him for Winstrol for 10 weeks. You know, it's like, you know,
or you're a horse.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But now what I do write for and works very well, and you have the peer-reviewed journals on it, is like Nandrolone or Deca, because it's very good for collagen synthesis. It's very good for joint inflammation. It helps with recovery. It happens to be an anabolic, but it works very well. So in conjunction with hormone therapy, and it's really interesting to know some people who don't handle testosterone very well because of the DHT breakdown, you can give them the Nandrolone or the Deca because it doesn't break down that way. So you're not getting those tough androgen side effects.
Wow.
But like I said, that's legitimate from like those, you know, I prescribe hormone replacement when it's needed. And then I'll use Deca for pain, but not because I want to use Deca because I want to get ripped. So, I can't, you know, that's not what we do.
Right. Wow.
Let's see. You want me? Let me do one, JP. What is the best exercise to get good quad separation? I think lunges are good, huh?
There's none.
Can I tell you something? I think
There's none.
Yeah.
No.
I think
don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's genetic factor.
Yes,
To be honest with you.
Genetic in your diet, right?
Yeah.
It's pure genetics. I mean, Frank Colombo never had a cut in his leg. You'd think he didn't know how to train his legs. I had a ton of cuts in my legs, mostly just doing pretty much squats.
Yeah, it's genetics, 100%. I believe.
I believe that, especially for calves. I definitely believe that.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
yeah. I've never, you know, I'm tall, so my calves are so long. It's like they get defined really well. My calves pop, but they just don't get big.
Yeah. I had about 17-inch calves when I started training at 15.
Wow.
I kid you not when I tell you this. It was crazy. I never had to work my calves. I mean, I worked them once every week. Well, once a week.
Yeah.
For about 3 or 4 sets.
It's even more unusual.
And that was it.
Unusual because you're a black guy, so usually, with exceptions like you, Vince Taylor, Paul Dillett, a lot of you guys had problems in the calf department. So it's incredible.
It's pretty sad when you're in the gym or airport or something like that. I look at guys' calves. I'm like, man, look at that guy's calves. They look awesome.
Well, like you said, though, it's purely genetics. You can have a big 300-pound fat ass. It's like, man, that guy's got a solid set of calves.
I know. I mean, it's like, man, if that guy could lean down.
Right.
Yeah. Calves are just killing it. Like, as big as a house, you know, waist is like a 54, but you got ankles that are like 3 inches around and these big, like solid vascular calf. The only thing on your body that's in any bit of shape, and it happens to be
I read
that like 90% of the world can't get.
Right.
I read that King Henry VIII was widely feared and admired for his calf size.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm sure he wasn't the fittest guy.
Who do you guys think has the best calves out of all-time bodybuilder?
I'll go first. Chris Dickerson, from what I've seen. And I saw them. I compared my calves to his, and I went, oh, man, his are better than mine. And beautiful calves. Some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. What do you think, JP?
Well, there's size and there's quality and there's the combination of it. I think a very good combo. Dorian Yates had a very great combo. Paul DiMeo, but his was a little higher, a little shorter. females on Longer had beautiful long calves, which I hardly ever seen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So today, nobody.
No. Lee had some good calves, right? Lee Priest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially his outside.
Mm-hmm.
When he was just standing in the lineup, they went both sides equally.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
He's the one that
what's it called? The Soleil's muscle, I believe it's called. That was very impressive. Yeah, Lee has great calves.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody's texting.
Yeah, speaking of Lee, I remember I was somewhat surprised and not when we asked Ed about what's the best bowler they ever seen.
He said Lee.
He
Yeah.
mentioned Lee, and I mean, he had a good explanation for it. He said under the circumstances, and so somebody asked me, after Ed chose Lee Priest, who's the best bowler you ever seen, and I was thinking about it quite a bit today. It is so hard because as I grew, I seen bodybuilder in a different light. I mean, there were when I was younger, when Frost was gay, was like a monster to me. But looking at the pictures now, he was hardly a monster. Yeah? And back, I think when it comes to on stage, the most brutal thing I've ever seen was the European Tour '96 Nasser, where Dorian looked like a mini bodybuilder next to it. But then again, he had a little bit more water. I didn't mind that. When I looked at it, I'm not a judge. But he was so massive. When he went out in Germany in '96 and hit that front double biceps pose, I don't think I ever seen anything so full and still kind of hard enough. But then again, he didn't win. Dorian was way drier. That was one of the most impressive things I've seen. Victor Richards growing up was very, very impressive to me.
Very impressive.
And I also was also very impressed by people like Sean Ray or Kevin Levroni, but more in a sense, I would have been very curious how a body like that would do under my regiment. That was more kind of the way I looked at it. I was always I always felt like, wow, I trained so much harder than them. I don't know if it's really true. That's how I saw it back in the days. I would be very curious what I could do with a Polylette or Sean Ray body, but it's also possible it would just that look the same as they did. Yeah. So it's hard to say. Bertil Fox growing up was very, very impressive.
Very much.
Now, Phil, I don't know. I've become more and more a fan of Phil more as I see of you. You had a really good mix of, the full bicepses, and it's really, really great.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sometimes I wish both of us could go back for change things a little bit. Yeah.
Here's a fun but hard question. Who's your favorite pro bodybuilder and who's your least favorite? I guess we'll kind of segue into that since we're talking about calves. That's a hard one. I'd say Ronnie's my favorite, but I don't know if I can name a least favorite. Well, since he cussed me out, probably Gustavo.
You got the easiest one ever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with Gustavo right now.
No word from him?
No, nothing. I've tagged him in a couple things, and he might have blocked me. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well.
I never thought of a least favorite. I really never did. Wasn't a big fan of Sean Ray in my days, although I loved his body. Today, I like him quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I never talked about it. My least favorite bodybuilder.
Yeah, I
never thought about it.
Mm-mm.
To be honest with you, never thought about that one.
Who's the most underrated one? Who do you think?
Oh, quite a few.
Right.
Oh.
You think Flex? Because he should have won. Because he should have won the Olympia. They say.
When he should have won the Olympia?
Was that the what year was that with Dorian?
No,
93.
No. I mean, he was a little bit harder at the Arnolds, and it was Dorian's best year.
93 was his best year as far as condition. After that, it was all about size.
He was.
Had great condition.
96 is when he came out. Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
He started hitting that too, because before, like, even when him and Lee Haney. They were, 245, 249, and then he stepped on stage at 263. That was, that, and then in the mid 90, I'm saying that was pretty big stage wise initially, really kind of pushing, springboarding to seeing the bigger physiques at that point in time.
Underrated was more a guy like, I would say, Aaron Baker.
Yes, Aaron Baker would be the guy.
Yeah.
Phil Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, those are underrated bodybuilders. But not Flex, who won like a
well, I didn't really mean it like that. I was kind of like, someone that probably should have won but didn't.
And then 98, 99, we all know why he didn't win then. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I was trying to pull up some of this picture. Not coming
Did
up.
you ever compete against any of the people on the show? I competed against Ian. And then we had Steve Briswan. I didn't compete against him. I don't think. Phil, when was your last show?
It was with you in '96. You're the reason I retired.
Really?
I remember that story. Yeah.
You're the reason. I looked at you. And
Jose.
it was San Jose. I saw you and I went, what the fuck?
I know, I retired 3 bodybuilders that day.
And I had to walk around the block to get around you. Right?
Yeah.
And I walked around you in a circle and I looked at you and I said, I can't do this shit anymore. And that was my last show. That was it.
If there's any bodybuilder who retired me, although I really retired myself, that would be Victor Martinez. As I had to fulfill my contract, I had to, after my accident, go to the Night of Champions. I really didn't want to be there. I really didn't want to be there. I was in no shape to, and he walked around backstage, absolute beautiful, just beautiful. He was not as big as he was later in 2007. And I just looked at him and said, I don't want to deal with this anymore, young, perfect, me, like, torn calf muscle. And it's just, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And everybody walked around with headphones, and just nobody even freaking talked to me there, with the exception of Titus. That's kind of funny, so nobody else talked to me. And the guy from Norway, what was his name, with the striated Tommy, yes.
Tommy, yeah.
I just didn't feel like being part of this anymore. But Victor was probably the closest to, if I could, have a name who retired me. So.
Did he retire? He retired after he got arrested. Is that what kind of was his downfall?
He had some bad luck.
I know he got
wrestled
the immigration stuff
Mexico for an exhibition. They were playing around,
right?
And the guy either tore his bicep, did some damage, and I don't think he's ever competed since that incident. And we're going back some years.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to compete when he got arrested for the immigration. I don't know what show. It might have been the Olympia. Because I remember him talking about how he had to he was like barter and taking everybody's honey buns and stuff in jail, so he could keep his carbs up. But then after that, I don't know. I think he tried to make a comeback. I remember seeing him working with his trainer, and they just said no. They pulled out of a couple shows, and I don't think he ever competed after that.
He's had some bad luck.
Yeah, he still looks good. He still keeps the size.
Yeah, I still see him on Instagram. If those are recent photos, he looks good still.
Often in his last shows, I think he was often judged more like he was still pretty good, but he was often judged that he didn't look as like he did before.
Sure.
I've always found that pretty regretful. At the end, it shouldn't matter. You just judge the people you see that day. He still was very good. His legs been a little bit weaker. I think he had some injury there, but he was good all the way to the end.
I heard they always judge you from your best condition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you're at your all-time best, they judge you from that particular, when you're in that particular condition, and sometimes they can downgrade you.
I'm sure they didn't do that with Dorian in '97.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah.
What's the best PCT, post psychotherapy?
Well,
Well,
yeah, like I said,
your clomid that you were talking
you're
about, right?
clomiphene and HCG. Like I said, I'll about 4 weeks off, load up on those two things. You're basically trying to really just restart that battery. You know what I'm saying? I.e. the testicles. You know what I'm saying? And then, but also in the PCT, and in the post cycle stuff, they go after that. And like, we've taught Jason, and you've worked with me, how important it is when you're done with your season, what I ask you to do to get yourself completely detoxified, so that when you go into the off season, you have a new, fresh piece of land to work with. I think what people do is they do these PCT, but what are you doing for the receptors? What are you doing for organ health? You follow me? Just because we're kicking the testicles back in, okay, great. But what stress have you put on the adrenal glands? What stress have you put on the kidneys, the liver, the GI system? Again, all the eating, the inflammation in the GI system. What are you doing for small intestinal health? What are you doing to clean out receptors? And getting off drugs does not mean you're cleaning out your receptors. You see, understand what I'm saying? So things in that nature, I think a really 4 to 6 week period of intense detoxification, chelation, restarting the battery so you can move forward is the most effective.
So, my cycles used to be 12 weeks, also pro 1,000 milligram of testosterone a week. When I came off, usually after 4 weeks, I did a blood test, and then I was kind of going back in after 5 or 6 weeks. I always went totally off testosterone. Would have been better in my case to take like 100, 200 milligrams a week.
Yes, because you got to remember, like I teach my guys, my patients in general, because you shut yourself. You're at 1,000. It's way more than we've ever done before. You know what I'm saying? And then so to come off, you free fall. You see what I'm saying? So the body's scrambling. You put your body under undue stress, because now basically you've stripped all of the fuel source out of it. So it's kind of panicking to try to recover. Brain's trying to kick in. So what you do is you take that 1,000, you bring it down to, like you said, maybe 100, 150 a week. Throw at least do that. Then throw your ACG or clomiphene in there. You follow me? And then, like I said, about 4 to 6 weeks, and then kick right back on. That was kind of what I kind of tell my guys is like, 10 to 12 weeks on, 4 to 6 weeks off, switch out. Don't stack multiple different drugs together, 1 or 2 with something. And again, you should stay pretty relatively healthy. You follow me? And still get good size. But, I get these guys, guys and girls now, Jesus Christ, I can't tell you how many people just take Tren like they're taking hormone replacement therapy now. I'm on Tren. You're still on Tren. You're on Tren 3 blood works ago. When are we going to get off the Tren? Well, I like the way it's like, come on, man. This is wow. Some of the stuff people tell me, I'm like, whoa, geez, way off base on that.
I got a question for you, Doc, about Tren. Yeah. Now, that was formerly a pharmaceutical parabolin that came out of France. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And then we got the old Phenoplex that used to give the heifers to bulk them up before they'd slaughter them.
Wow.
Remember, they come in the feed store, the little pellets. They shot it. They would shoot it into the heifer's ears. So it absorbed, like, for them, that's like sub-Q. But then you could used to take it, grind it up, filter it, and put it in DMSO, and you could rub it, because DMSO has a universal solvent.
I remember DMSO.
And you could draw the Phenoplex into the skin. So you always knew who was on Phenoplex because they were super strong, but they smelled awful because they basically smell like just old onions.
Hey, Doc, what happened to DMSO?
It's still around. You can find it.
Is it? I haven't heard that mentioned in decades.
Yeah, you can still find it. That's it.
I didn't know that. Huh?
Yeah. But yeah, you could always. We always did that. You could grind it down, filter it, put it in DMSO, and man, it worked. You stunk like shit, but man, you were strong. It didn't matter.
You smell like a cow?
Oh, it was bad. It was bad, man.
So I imagine you probably sweated that out too, and the smell came out.
Yeah. Not only is it going in you and it's awful, but then you sweat and it's awful. It's nonstop. It's in and out. You're filtering in and out at the same time.
Wow.
But yeah, that's like I said. But now, yeah, the old Parabolin, like I said, now that's your trend. And like I said, that seems to be like, to me now, you know, with the athletes, the people that I get, that seems to be everybody's go-to now. I'm like, man, this is right off the rip. Never done steroids before. I'm starting with trends. Wow.
Now we did a podcast.
Ease into this a little bit.
Let me ask you this. We did a podcast and they said the podcast was how do you say it again? Trenbolone?
The Parabolin or the trend?
The trend.
Yeah, Trenbolone.
Yeah, Trenbolone supposedly causes brain damage. Have you heard such?
So this is what happens. Remember this from an anabolic perspective. What you're going to do is you're putting your body on supercharge. You see what I'm saying? The body's just working. And what happens is, you know, your dopamine is high, your neurotransmitters are high. You know what it's like to be on. When you're on, quote unquote, then you're on. Just in life, you're on. You're sharper. You're tighter. You just more motivation. That's everything. Like you're looking through crystal clear windows all the time. So what happens is then when you get off this stuff, you have to remember from the backside, you have these neurotransmitters. Now, you've raised your dopamine levels. You've raised all these neurotransmitters, and all of a sudden you're off. You come crashing down.
See.
So brain damage, by proxy, given the fact that you've increased neuroinflammation, but not true brain damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I took this caused this. Not like where, hey, I've had multiple concussions and I have CTE. You see what I'm saying? But taking this drug caused this. It would be a byproduct of neuroinflammation, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, I'll bring it into how powerful, as we all guys sitting here talking around, but like I get, again, dealing with patients, you get a lot of guys, even really young kids, more than my older guys, with erection issues, right? And what happens is actually a phenomenon called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. So you get these young kids who are watching porn on the computer all the time. But what happens, remember, so they may be able to achieve an erection, do whatever they're going to do, watching the porn, but then when they get in front of the actual physical person, they can't perform. What's happened is the brain has now been wired to get the stimulus from visual, not tactile. So you actually have to go in from a neurotransmitter, and it can take years to rewire the brain to get them out of that. But that's like when I get young kids who come in who explain, I'm like, how much pornography are you watching? And you guarantee you what's happened is, again, you've changed that stimulus that would excite somebody. So same difference I'm saying from the anabolics is you've upregulated everything and now you've come down. That's why, again, I do agree 4 to 6 weeks to detox and IVs and everything to kind of reset the system, because the longer you do it, you're going to have to stay on forever. Or you ain't, or you're in trouble.
It's funny that you mentioned that they had this channel on XM radio. It's taken off now. Somebody in the early hundreds, and there were 2 porn stars talking when I was driving to LA. Says, hey guys, if you want to still get hard with us, stop watching all this porn. They were not explaining it as nicely as you, but they know what they're talking about.
Wow.
Well, when I was 12 or 13, we had the Sears catalog, the ladies' panty section.
I think so. I'm a little bit younger than you, but then we had Cinemax After Dark, so that was awesome.
What was the one with the motorcycle? Easy Rider? So I've heard. I don't
Yeah.
Allegedly, this is all alleged.
Yeah, this is all speculation.
All speculation.
If anybody in our school had a porn magazine, it went around, you know. So when it was your turn, the pages were mostly glued together. All right.
Yeah, I remember going into my brother's stash and the pages being stuck together. I was like, oh, oh God. All right, I don't know how we got on that subject.
Yeah, well, we digress quickly. Hey Phil, maybe it does. Maybe it does cause brain damage.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Where's Ian when we need him? That's a perfect time.
Hey Doc, I got a question for you. This is so different. I went to the chiropractor yesterday. I like to go once a month to keep everything in line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what's your opinion, or do you know anything about the CBD oils and creams for joints and things like that now, and muscular pain?
I'm a proponent because the whole endocannabinoid system is a whole different system within the body, just like the GI system, neurosystem, endocrine system, and the endocannabinoid systems really well. You also have the central peripheral. You have the THC base. That's gets, you know, it has the mind altering, but the CBD, from an example, from an endocannabinoid, will decrease pain, release endorphins. So no, I've had a lot of patients use it. Like I recommend it. I don't have a brand that I use, or I don't sell it, you know, anything in that regard, but I do recommend it because it does. For some people, it is the man. So it's
I tried it a few times. You know, when I was eating bad, and like I told the viewers here before, it's not too long ago where I finally started to eat healthier. So my hands had arthritis in my hands and in my neck a little bit. So a friend gave me a cream. It did absolutely nothing, but the second I start to change to better food, it improves very, very quickly.
And again, I hear that. There's some people who they just respond well. Other people, not so much. Me, myself, I've tried it. You know, I've tried like even the underneath the tongue, like from a calming perspective. I kind of go along the realms of what JP's saying. I didn't get a lot out of it, you know. And I also don't know it's because of all the other stuff that I've done. Shit like that just don't work. But you know, it didn't really make me any calm. I didn't myself notice a big difference. But I have patients that I'll say, hey, look, give it a shot. I can't argue it.
Yeah. Interesting.
I've never used it before. I've heard people use it, but let me see. I had one question here about dieting, about intermittent fasting. Just thoughts on it was the question, was with it. Doc, you've done intermittent fasting before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done it. I just, so again, it's so funny with all the studies and the different things out there now. Again, this is where my thoughts are too. So let's take it from a bodybuilding and an athletic perspective. Okay. You know, working out, we have to do what? Fuel our body. So if you get individuals who start with this intermittent fasting for 12, 13, 14, 15 plus hours, what are you not doing to your body? You're not providing it the nutrients it needs to recover and grow. It also it can start to put undue stress on the body. And there are some studies out there that shows that it can also play a role in decreasing testosterone levels. So this is my thought process on intermittent fasting per se. Eat an earlier dinner, call it quits, then eat breakfast in the morning. But you get these people who, I eat dinner at 6, but I don't eat again until noon the next day. Right. You follow me? First of all, intermittent fasting, more than about 12 hours, you're starting to put a lot of undue stress on the organs. So again, but at nighttime, remember, you don't want a lot of food in the body, because that's when your body does go through what's called autophagy, where it's killing off the old senescent or kind of like senile cells. You follow me? So I think that's your point where you intermittent fast, let's call it that way by default, because eat your dinner, then don't eat again until breakfast. You know.
Now, your last meal would be at what time would you suggest if you were going to do that?
Depending on waking, I would say, 6, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And then if you wake up, if you go to bed, and if you rise at 6 or 7, then go ahead and start. I mean, there's your 12 hours, but you're also in a point where you had a good meal, well-balanced meal, you know what I'm saying? Probably more protein based, but well-balanced. You rested, you recovered, you woke up. Again, that's why, again, same difference. Breakfast, break the fast, because you need the nutrients.
Right.
You truly do. Again, the body runs off all this stuff. And now, again, everybody's in such extremes back and forth. Oh, well, I'm going to fast for 3 days, or I'm going to do this and that. It's like, man, I don't know. Like I said, you start to pull one extreme to the other. That's kind of what I do is, I eat my dinner, then I pretty much call it quits. Then when I get up at 4 a.m, I have my coffee, have my yogurt, my shake, and I start my day. And then I eat accordingly throughout the day.
Gotcha.
I feel better. Like I said, for a long time, again, it's all trial and error. That's like with my patients, why I think I gain their respect is because there's nothing that I'm going to tell them to do that I haven't tried myself. Like, since I'd say in the past 35 to 45 days, I've started eating 4 or 5 times a day again, training at least 3 times a week. And I just feel better because there was a point in time I was eating once or twice a day. And I was down, I'm not heavy anymore, but I was down I was 198, 199 pounds. And I, really thinned out, but I didn't feel good. It's not me. Like now I'm about 215, 217. I'm eating, I'm fuller. I feel better just generally overall. And I guess because now I'm not depriving myself of the fuel that it needs, So
it's a very interesting topic. I struggle with that a lot, advising athletes how long to wait, and intermediate fasting, and then especially when it comes to different categories and total different physiques. It was one of my biggest challenges back in my days, and when I look at how my physique evolved, when did I look best and what happened afterwards. But one of the biggest challenges was to give the body that break, because I was so big, I had to pretty much eat all the time. And then, we were kind of having this pressure under us mass monsters to, so we started pretty much a day and night regimen, which didn't do me any good. I wish I could have gone back, and I used to eat dinner at midnight. It was sushi and 2 slices of toast with some butter on it, Irish butter on it. And then at 4 a.m. I ate my oatmeal and eggs and all this stuff. And I think that's what kind of altered my physique. It's my midsection started to get out of control. Would have been better to have a 8-10 hour phase there. And yeah, I wish I could have gone back. I could have changed that. But then you see with bikini girls, they are really into this fasting and swear that their midsection is tighter if they don't eat for. So I kind of tell them to 8-10 hours and then eat again. So
I'm good. Like, that's a good number. I think that's somewhere in that 8 to 10 to 12 is good. I think really what you look into, and I think a lot. I think some of the people are getting more in tune with, but I think it's also with the athlete, especially the bodybuilding arena, is good GI health. You understand what I'm saying? Is protecting. Again, you got three parts of digestion or of this. The GI process. You got digestion, absorption, and elimination. You better make sure all 3 of them are well in check. You need to make sure your stomach's taken care of well, making sure it has enough hydrochloric acid, enough to break down those foods into the simplest forms. But then you got to make sure the small intestine is well fueled. Those cells are taken care of. The enzymes are in there to break things down better, because that's where everything needs to be absorbed. But then you need to go to the large intestine and make sure you have the right pre and probiotics, the right amount of fluid, the right amount of fiber to eliminate. I think that's what happens is these guys and gals eat. You're putting all this undue stress. And like you said, JP, next thing you know, your midsection starts to blow out. And really what that ends up being is just inflammation within the GI system. So I think really a good structural foundation of a good GI program is huge as well, from everything from peptides to specific supplements and just different things to protect that whole GI process.
So I know bikini girls, they they go as far as 24 when it comes to fasting. This is absolutely crazy.
That's again,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
to
lot.
an extreme. Like I said, 12 hours, you start to 12 hours or more, 12 to 14, you start putting undue stress on the organs. So again, now you're counteracting what you're trying to do something good, and now you're putting it to a point where it's starting to be causing issue.
So when it comes to gut health, a little bit more concrete, what would you recommend when it comes to foods and peptides?
So from a stomach perspective, again, people always equate, I have acid reflux or whatever. Remember, you get your stomach pH has to be between about 1.5 and 2.5 to break down the foods properly. So one of the digestive enzymes, betaine, helps to increase hydrochloric acid. So I think that is a really good supplement to take for digestive health. Also, what's really good is I do drink distilled aloe. Distilled aloe helps to have the whole, basically from mouth out, keeps the GI system nice and well and healed. The small intestine is your money maker. That's what we need to pay attention to. So right off the rip, the first thing is you want good digestive enzymes. Amylase, lipase, breaking down your fats, breaking down your sugars, breaking down your proteins. So good digestive enzymes. Second of all, glutamine. Glutamine is the fuel source for your small intestines. Glutamine will help to fatten the small intestinal cells, kind of prevent that leaky gut. Peptides that we use, BPC-157. That's a really great one to help with GI health.
Quick question about that.
Yes.
Can you pretty much be on that all the time, the BPC-157?
I still go 20 days on, 20 days on, 20 days off. You can rotate them. But I still you need to take a break because it's still a signal recepting. So what you could do though is do BPC-157, then go to TB-500, and then you use another one called KPV. So now you have an alternate. You can keep switching them out, and all of them work very well.
KPD?
KPV, like in Victor. Yeah, so KPV. So you do that, your digestive enzymes, a good pre and probiotic. I think that's really what I tell a lot of my individuals on how to help with their GI system. Mm-hmm. And it keeps the bloating down, helps you digest your food better, helps you absorb your food better, and then again, every, depending if you're doing shows or whatever, but 2 to 3 times a year, a good GI detox the liver, detox the GI system. Think about really quick, I don't mean to keep going on about it, but think about people's moods, what I'm saying, and bodybuilders and just in general, and people's moods. We always look at people when we put them on psychological medications for what? Serotonin, right? So everything's about serotonin, right? Well, we're always treating people from a brain perspective with serotonin, but only 10% of the serotonin is made in the brain. 90% of your serotonin is made in your GI system. So do you think maybe if your GI system's overinflamed, overworked, not properly taken care of, it can affect your mood, can affect your outlook? You see what I'm saying? So something to take home about, something, to write home about, kind of to think about, good GI health. There's more neurons and neurotransmitters in what's called the enteric nervous system than there is about the central nervous system. So, and again, we don't spend a lot of time with it. We don't, we spend more, like you said, worry about neural inflammation, but what about GI inflammation? Mm-hmm. So,
JP, were your cats saying hi to us, or what was that?
Oh, there's a whole army waiting for me to be done here, but but it's kind of nice.
I looked over and I looked back. All I saw was cats looking at me.
Like 3 of them, waiting right there. But it's nice and respectful to stay out of the camera.
Are they waiting for dinner or what?
No. There's always food in this house. So I feel terrible. We are having a big renovation coming up here, and I still don't know how I'm going to do that with all the cats. So, but that's another issue. We're ripping floors out and kitchen out, and it's gonna all start in 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
There we go.
He is.
He heard you talking about him.
Yeah. It's funny, that there's one question: why do you love cats so much?
Somebody asked you that?
Yeah, there's nothing to do with cats. When I worked at the shelter, the first day they do the introduction, and they showed me this horrible room with the undesirable cats. So they said, don't go in here. They're dangerous. They just can't live. There was a boiler room. And if you tell me don't go in there, they're undesirable, that became my purpose, kind of to help them the most. So if there would be a room with lizards, maybe I would save lizards now. Who knows? Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, cats, whatever. It's just it became cats by accident.
Yeah.
By accident.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was my last question, JP. I don't know if you want to throw any more.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like, what is your favorite exercise? I did not have any. I don't know if Phil had any favorite exercise.
No favorites. No.
Yeah. I mean, I love the chest pump like everybody did, to the shoulder pump, but I also love the squats. So I didn't have no favorite exercise. Would you change your workouts in retrospect, or your workout style? I stopped doing that going back. I mean, occasionally it comes up here, what you have changed, but I found peace with what I did, because I did that for a long time after I retired, the regrets, and I should have done this and this different. And a discussion or a lunch with Chris Cormier changed all of that many, many years ago, where I was crying around again what it could have been, and this was not good, and that this and that, and and he looked at me suddenly and he says, look, we all had tremendous respect for you. And I'm like, really? It just hit me like, oh really, you guys did? And I changed my attitude pretty much that day, so it's all you can ask for now, guy. You can't go back.
No, you got
you're right though, too. You live in the world of shoulda, coulda, woulda. If you come to grips with, if I could change things, I guess I could have, but then would I be where I'm at now?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. Everybody can play armchair quarterback. So yeah, if I didn't do this, or maybe I didn't do this, or I didn't start here, or I didn't do this, would we end up where we're at? And I don't know. And I guess I'm not willing now. I'm at peace with everything, that I wouldn't go back and change a damn thing, because I don't want to change where I'm at now. And if I do that, you change the trajectory of where you're at. Like you said, be it working out, using supplements, drugs, I don't know, running it as hard as I ran it. No, man, because let's put me in a position now of where I'm at. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
There's another one. What are your main regrets? I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. I do have one. If we want to if I would like to write on that, it's simply learn English earlier. I think Ed was kind of getting into that too. But in his book also, there's certain people that could have had a better career, speaking English. So before social media, and in those days, it's maybe a little bit more important than now that you speak English well. And that was a little bit of something I would regret, but there's not much really in that regard. What was your best shape? I don't know. I talked before. I never had really any great shapes, but maybe the show Phil was talking about, San Jose, was pretty good.
Yeah.
And 97 Olympia finale, and a couple of shows of the 96 European tour. But and then I was asked about the state of today's bodybuilding. We talk about that so much. And do you have a favorite category? I think they're talking about the different categories, and there's one category I cannot love. I try, and that's this classic bodybuilding. I every time, and I know the posings are great, the presentation is great, they control their midsections, they have an immense amount of talent. I understand all of that, but every time I watch it, they look like junior bodybuilders to me. That they look to me like bodybuilders who will be good in 2 or 3 years. Of course, it's a weight thing. It's just right. I never look at them as like, wow. I always felt like, it's in the 90s, it's some young bodybuilders I see competing in the juniors. That I always, not even when I see C-bomb, I'm very overwhelmed. But I also realized that there's a lot of people disagreeing with me, and they just love that category. I don't know. partially it has to do that the open category is not that great right now. Probably, hopefully, changes again.
Yeah.
And the frustration of a lot of people that the physique like the open is not attainable to them. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
So, you know, although I can tell all of you guys who think that the physique is not attainable, the physique in classic is not attainable to you either. You know, to all of those guys, it's just a little bit like closer in their fantasy. But yeah.
Well, Bumstead's real popular too. He's making it.
Oh,
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
he may be more popular than Rami. He may be.
He's definitely bringing that.
Absolutely, is more popular than Rami.
He's bringing that class a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think he looks more attainable. His look is more attainable to the average person.
Yeah. What's this weekend? Pittsburgh Pro?
Yeah, it's incredible when I look at the competitive fields of that show. I mean, especially like bikini, the top 6-5 are competing. And then the former Miss Olympia, Janet Lee, I think, is back in absolute top shape. I think she was just hosting.
Let's see. I got the.
She was just hosting the Arnold's Classic in Ohio.
I got the scorecard pulled up here. Yeah, Laura Lee's competing in it. Of course, Ashley's going for another win.
Yeah,
Janet came out of retirement.
Yes, Janet. Yeah. And then it's the shorter Ashley, the blonde, you know, which starts winning shows. Coltwaster is not going to have a chance here.
No.
And then there is Isa from Brazil. It's like a 2-time Miss Olympia. I mean, incredible. Is there an open class everything in this show?
I don't see is there a men's open?
I mean, not that I know.
I don't think so. I see classic physique, and then it goes into women.
Everybody's guest posing usually on that show.
Right. Yeah. He brings in all the top guys. Is that Jim Mannion's show?
Yeah. Phil, did you guest pose on that show?
You know what? I think I did. Years ago, back in the 80s, because I went to Pittsburgh for that reason. Yeah. I did do that.
We used to have pretty much the top 10 on stage there.
You know, I guess pose in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it wasn't the Pittsburgh Pro though, so I'll take that back. It may have been the Pennsylvania State Championships, because that may not have been around back in the 80s.
I know Nick is guest posing, and I still hope he's considering next week to come on here. So we sure try again.
Did he ever respond to you?
He did not. No, he did not. But I'm going to try again. And he clearly told me he cannot do it this week. He told me that from the beginning. And I'm going to try once he's back from Pittsburgh, back home.
Yeah, very interesting.
Then I have a bunch of kind of like questions which are more not bodybuilding related. I don't know, at this point, if I want to really go much into it. What's your favorite sport outside bodybuilding? Favorite vacation spot? Why did you move to California? Favorite movie? Stuff like that.
At least they're clean questions.
Yeah.
What size shoe do you wear?
Yeah.
As a program in high school, I was interviewing one of the biggest soccer stars in Switzerland, and that was my leading question: "What's your shoe size?" Yeah, sadly, yes.
Oh, jeez.
Why did you move to California? That I ask myself all the time.
I still have an answer.
Yeah. I don't know. I know the Stark market's not doing real well.
It's funny, you know, I have CNBC on in the gym when I do one-on-one training. It's on there all day. You know, then yesterday I think it jumped a little bit, and they were all excited. You know,
it did. It was it did good, and then today it was in the tank.
They were not talking about nothing else but this great recovery, and today we all went downhill again. Yeah, and my bitcoins are totally in the shitter.
Nah, my Bitcoins are bad. The Dow was down over 1,000 points today.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you guys this. What about this abortion thing going on right now? I mean,
It is
I thought we'd be past that decades ago.
It's the Roe versus Wade.
Right.
They're overturning it.
Wow.
So we had our pedicure manicure lady coming to our house yesterday. Suddenly, my wife and I, we both sit on the couch, and suddenly she looks at my wife and said, well, what is this abortion thing? And I thought, oh God, this is going to be good, asking my wife. I love her, but I wouldn't really ask her political questions.
Yeah.
So she knew, she already saw me laughing over there, and I said, yeah, what is it, Jessica? So she's like, it's Roe v. Wade. I said, give me more details here. Yeah. So I did tell him a little bit what I might take on it is now, but I don't know if this is the right setting for it.
Yeah, probably not. Oh, well. That's all I got, guys.
I'm good, thank you. Muscle Clinic opens Monday.
All right.
What'd you say, JP?
Real quick, this morning when we got up and we were standing in the kitchen, and I said to my wife, by the way, what do you think about the contribution of each country for NATO? If that improved, what do you think about that? So she looked at me and said, who's NATO?
She probably, you mean Sharknado?
Who's NATO? So I talk about the dog or something, who's NATO?
Oh,
I used to live close to the NATO base in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they got a big NATO base there. So if NATO doesn't want to get into it, because if it does, it's most likely we're looking at World War III.
Well, somebody just registered with NATO. Who was the country? It's somebody over there by Russia.
Well, Sweden and Finland would like to.
Yeah, somebody just applied.
Yeah.
I can't remember what country it
Putin
was.
said if Finland will be part of NATO, he will attack immediately.
Yes. That's why, yeah. Right.
We have 2 Russian trainers. They work for the gym. It's very interesting right now. So we had to tell them, calm down, buddy. Don't get in, because one lost quite a few clients after the invasion. Said, hey, buddy. So on the way out, we had this guy walking out, and I was standing there with the Russian. And the guy on the way out, local window cleaning guy, great guy actually, a big window cleaning company, says, "What are you guys doing?" I was just about to run away, guy. The Russian looks at him, and the Russian says to him, "Moldavia is next." I knew I have to run now. I don't want to be part of this guy, but obviously he didn't learn his lesson. Yeah.
Oh boy. That's like saying bomb on an airplane. Right now.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
much.
all over.
All right, guys.
Wow, really quick.
Good, Doc.
Muscle Clinic opens on Monday.
Oh, it does. Okay, good.
Yeah, officially opens on Monday. We're all done. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
give me another
they
minute,
came
please,
out.
quickly. I want another minute.
Go ahead.
Jason, from what I want to share here, I'm going to give you a quick update because we didn't talk in the last couple of weeks. So my, I had this phlebotomies twice a week, 250 milliliter.
Yeah.
And it improved quite a bit, but then it started to kind of settle in between 17.9 and 18.3 when they check.
Okay.
So he called me to the office and he was very upset. He's like, don't tell me you're back on testosterone. So I said, look, you need to find a way to work with me here because I decided to go back on between 50 and 100 milligrams testosterone a week, So he's wise. So I explained him why. I said, look, I was off for almost 4 weeks and I just tired all the time. I have no testosterone to recuperate, and
yeah,
it's just, I think we have to find a way here to solve those issues we have, you have to work with me here. So I think he found a good solution, and you just want to hear your take on it. He doubled to at the end. That was once a week, 250 milliliters. So he increased it to a 500 milliliter once a week.
Yeah, and what you do, and again, it's the same thing with like myself. So like everything I make my mistakes as well. Like I really screwed up the last part of the year because I was traveling and I wasn't doing my draws. So I ended up at like 18.7. I did a draw and it made literally no change. So, and I started to feel really bad, like really tired, like, man, what's wrong? Like I thought I was sick. And finally it broke through because now what I'm doing is I'm doing one every other week at 500 milliliters. And after my last one, I got to do one tomorrow. But the last one that I did, it finally broke loose. And within 48 hours, it was like 180 degrees different. And my numbers now down to 17.2. I feel so much better. So no, I agree with it, because what you have to do is you have to consistently do it until the number gets under 17. Then you can start breaking back that. Like, let's say I were going every week, then you maybe can go every other week, then go once a month, and then keep checking it and see where it's at. Because once you hit that number, we should be good. But until we obtain that, the minute you back it off, it's going to go right back up.
So why does he, the hematocrit, it's in the range, I think it's somewhere 50, 51. Why does he want this so low at 45?
45 is way too low. That's ridiculous. 50, I usually 52 to 54%. 45, you're looking female. That's usually like females are 45 to 47%.
Why does
I mean,
he say that?
Again, they're looking out for the heart health. I understand what he's saying, but it's a little unrealistic. Again, you have to account for your surface area, your blood volume. You understand what I'm saying? So, I would expect you to be somewhere in the 49 to 52 range, just off the rip anyways.
So now, since they take out a half a liter, he every time I do a phlebotomy, I don't feel anything. It's just, I leave totally fine.
Yeah.
So now he wants me to stay there for a freaking hour to get dehydrated. Is that necessary?
You do fine, but I've seen it enough times, or even guys and gals who do it, they get up, next thing you know, they're weak, they're tired, they pass out. Just make sure you have something to eat while you're there and before you go. You'll be fine. I do the same thing you do. Like I said, some people don't handle it well. They just want to make sure, because they are taking out that half a liter. They're pulling it out of you relatively quick. They want to make sure that your volume is good. You don't pass out or anything like that. But if you eat before you go, then eat some carbs while you're doing it and drink water, you'll be fine.
So he wants to do this now, half a liter for 4 or 5 weeks, and then I do the next blood test.
Yeah, and then do it and see what's going on. Yeah, I agree with it, because again, you see how you were going down, then it went back to it. See, it's not stabilized yet. It's still very thick. But if you stop doing it, I guarantee you'll be right back in the high 19s again.
On the 18th or 17th, I do the cardioechogram.
Yeah.
And then on the 2nd of June, I'm meeting the cardiologist to go through all the results.
Yeah, and please let me know when you talk to them what they have to say. And I'll help, again, if it's all, I'll help you go through it as well, decipher what the nonsense is and what legitimacy is.
Yeah, so I never got any results from the stress test. And I did do the 12 minutes, the running. I did get up to pretty much max heart rate, almost around 70, but it did take a little bit long, what I feel, to recover. I had to sit there for quite a 4 or 5 minutes. So I hope those results are good, but I'll let you know when I know more.
Yeah, let me know. Okay.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Joe.
All right, we'll talk to you
Bye-bye.
later.
All right.
Have
Have a
a
good
good
evening.